Today I'm here to talk a little bit about Ayurveda, which is a more than 5,000-year-old. We just like to put a number on it. Science, it could be from the beginning of time, Ayurveda, and it has principles that are found all over the world. And some of those principles are found in various places, anywhere where there's been indigenous culture, pre-colonial cultures. And so I'm hoping that you'll get to, after today, be able to spot places where you're seeing Ayurveda in your experience. And a lot of that will be in your household interactions with people cooking foods. And it is a medical science. You may or may not have access to an actual medical doctor, but it is one that's been maintained throughout the culture. Especially after British rule, it was maintained a lot in the household and a lot in families. It is comes from the Vedas, which is the oldest written, known body of knowledge, and Veda means knowledge. Ayuhu means life. So Ayurveda, when you put the words together, the language, it likes to flow. Ayuhu Veda doesn't sound as good as Ayurveda, so they just change the letter, and it becomes one word to mean knowledge of life. So it is like the crux of the health of the culture. The health, the healing, the science, it can involve herbs, it can involve diet, it can involve lifestyle, it can involve lots of what's called chikitsa, which is therapies of all kinds. Therapies through the senses, color therapies, fragrance therapies, things that you can see, touch, taste, smell, feel, oils, massage techniques. It is basically wraps all of the possibilities for holistic healing into one, and it is there from probably time immemorial. So Ayurveda has this great assumption that you find in most indigenous cultures, which is that everything is made of 5 elements. Like you find that in acupuncture and Chinese medicine and in many different other sorts of holistic medicines. Ether, air, fire, water, earth. Everything is made from these 5 elements. Our bodies encapsulate these 5 elements. All substances, which is anything that has an action or a quality, has these 5 elements in it. And so Ayurveda seeks to understand every individual by their elemental makeup. So each one of us has a combination and a permutation of qualities, and those qualities can be categorized within ether, air, fire, water, earth. So for example, ether is like the space that we're in right now. It's like a vacuum for air. It in itself doesn't move, but it's stable, and we are all like here in a space. And you can hear my voice right now because it's traveling through a space, and space is resonant. So in Western medicine, you've been to the doctor and someone's tapped on you and listened to the space inside your body, or they've used a stethoscope and they've listened to the space, and whether there's dull notes or resonant notes, and it tells them things. Is there water in there? Is it an open space? Is there congestion? And it's the same in Ayurveda. They do the same. There are spacious cavities in the body. There are spacious cavities in every cell. Air, which is what's moving in the space. It's what's moving as we're breathing, as it's what's creating the principles of movement in our nerves. Like there's like messages passing. There's peristaltic movement in our body. There's all these principles of movement that are air, qualities of air. And air and space together make something similar to like what I think the Greeks called the 3 humors, this one category, air and space together, to make Vata dosha.
Yep, does that work?
Vata dosha, air and space. So a person who might be categorized as primarily being that of like Vata dosha would be someone who has more air and space kind of quality. Maybe it's a spacey brain, maybe it's forgetfulness, maybe it's a very, 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 very sensitive nervous system because the nerves are deeply connected with Vata dosha. It can be a person with a lot of mobility. You see a lot of people who are attracted to yoga in this country are like high Vata people. They like to move, they're very flexible. It's not very dense within their body already. They're very like skinny, mini, teeny, tiny Vata dosha people who like to eat skinny, mini, teeny, tiny meals like raw kale, salads, and juices, and smoke the cigarette and ride the bike quickly to class. You know, it's like air and space kind of substances that often we are attracted to exactly what we already are. Have you noticed that? Like, have you noticed that people who are more substantial are craving the cookies, the candies, the chocolate, and people who are often like kind of fast and mobile who could better be served by a grounding meal are more like interested in raw salad and seaweed and very light, not that substantial things.
I have a question. Is Vata also looked at for like elders as they get kind of smaller and tinier? Are they more Vata?
So there are stages of life. So these are like adjectives in a sense, you know, and these adjectives have qualities. So elders are in that phase of life where things are kind of breaking down, things are becoming a little less substantial. Maybe the mind is becoming a little more spacey, the memory is a little bit less sharp. There's more brittleness to the bones, you know, things that are substantial are kind of breaking down. So there are these stages of life, and elder life is considered, you know, the Vata stage of life, like post 65 years old. It's the Vata stage of life. That's when things are kind of breaking down. So Vata has these qualities, and I'd love you to say them with me. Just to jump now into Indian culture, where learning happens through oral tradition. It's actually not so much written down. It's always been passed down verbally. So people often, you might hear in temples or wherever you go, this like active recitation that happens. And this active recitation that happens between teachers and students there who are like teachers who are like respected as much as elders who are like very respected there because there's that verbal relationship that happens. So we'll chant together and say the words. These are like adjectives describing Vata dosha. Calm response. Tatraruksho.
Tatraruksho.
Lagushita.
Lagushita.
Kara sukshma.
Kara sukshma.
Chalonilaha.
Shalonilaha.
Beautiful. Vata. Tatraruksho. Because you'll hear some English when you go, but get ready. Some very different sounds. Ruksho means dry. Tatraruksho, that dry. Lagu, light. Shita, cold. Karas, rough. Sukshma, subtle. Shalo, mobile. Anilaha means Vata. Vata is that is dry, light, cold, rough, subtle, and mobile. So everything is looked at qualitatively, and when you go to India and you eat foods, there are specific food combinations that are made, there are specific spice combinations that are made, or when you go to the temple, if you see like a priest there making an offering using certain kinds of colors, certain kinds of substances, they know like what those qualities of those things are. They know what it is that they're trying to create. They know based upon nature. They know elementally what they are. So Vata dosha is that is dry, light, cold, rough, subtle, mobile. Can anyone guess what is Vata season? Fall, right? Like when you walk outside right now, the air on your skin, it feels a little drier, it's a little lighter, it's rough, it's cold, right? And it's just gonna get more and more like that. Lucky you all are gonna skip a lot of that, you know? But it's like what is outside affects us inside, so then our skin gets dry. Or maybe people experience more constipation, right? Or dryness in the colon, or dryness in the sinuses, or a lightness, like an ungroundedness and anxiety. You know, we have these holidays happening around this time and people are like frenzied, and then they go out in the cold and it's even more feels like that. So this idea is that what's outside is also inside, and what is happening elementally around us is also affecting us in our bodies. And for elders, Vata, sage of life, a lot of things kind of dry up, right? Is this an entirely women?
Yes, it is. It just worked out that way.
Think about, you know, postmenopausal women, you know, who will be talking about, you know, things are drying up inside. This is what happens later in life. It's what happens in the fall season. It's what happens in the weather. We look up, things are gray, things are, you know, it's more vast. You can see the entire sky. You can see the space. You can feel the air. Those elements are very predominant in this season. And for somebody who already has a lot of that, just as naturally more dry, light, cold, mobile, clear, subtle, mobile, they're really going to feel it. Like, it's no joke to walk outside in the cold air if you're skinny weenie. That goes like right to your bones immediately. You feel it like. So the idea in Ayurveda is that everybody has a baseline constitution. And those people are going to be more likely to feel the effects of the elements that they already are, right? So like, this is an example. A skinny, mini, teeny, tiny person who eats salad, rides their bike to class, you know, is very mobile as an acrobat, likes jogging, jumping, trampolines, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, you know, dry foods, hummus, falafel. You know, this is what they eat. And they go out in the cold and they really feel it, right? They really feel it. So cultures where people are in the elements more obviously have found ways to deal with that. You know, it's just like some of it you're going to say, yes, it's common sense, but we forget because we're indoors, you know. Like, of course, now's the time to have a really warming soup. Now's the time to have food that's very oily, that's going to help oleate the body. Now's the time to do oil massage on our bodies. I mean, every time is. And especially for elders who are experiencing these things, it's like, now's the time, especially warm oil massage all over their body, you know. Or babies who are very in a subtle state, massaging them with oil. You know, these are like understanding that like attracts like and opposites heal. So a lot of the therapies that you find in Ayurveda are because people are determining, like, what are the qualities? It's a qualitative science. You know, what does it really feel like? Is your asthma dry? Does it have congestion? Is there irritation? And based upon, like, what does it actually feel like? What is the opposite quality that you can offer? And so much of it is home remedy in India, and so much of it is happening through our mothers and our grandmothers. So, just want to highlight this one especially because it's so key for elders, and it's so key in Ayurveda, is this dryness that leads to a lot of things for people. And the opposite of dry in Ayurveda is not wet. Any guesses what it is? If your skin is dry, what do you want to put on it? Oil. Oil, right? Well, so many of the lotions we have drying agents in them, you know? But in India and in a lot of cultures, you know, they're just using, there's nothing going on the skin that you couldn't eat, right? So oil, oily oil. is the opposite of dry. So a lot of times we feel dry and we think just drink a lot of water, and that water goes right through us, and it's not necessarily oleating us inside. And so much of the therapies that we do in Ayurveda, they start in the gut, they start from the mouth. Because, I don't know, maybe it's because the grandmothers were maintaining this. They learned this spice is for that, this spice will warm you up, this spice is just the right amount that it won't irritate. Imagine how we treat babies, Do any of you have babies in your life? You pay attention, right? You're like, oh, this is what went in and this is what came out, right? And it's not embarrassing. It's like, today I opened the diaper, the poop was green. Oh, what did they eat? And you think about it that way, but so often we get older and then it's just like we don't pay attention to those things anymore. So Ayurveda is like giving this kind of guide to treat our own bodies and everyone at any age as if they were like a baby, like what's going in, what's coming out. Oh, they're a little dry, what do they need? Oh, this person is cold, what do they need? Or in more advanced diseases like osteoporosis, where the bones have gotten brittle, they've become more space and air light, less substantial. We learn how to give diet and give, things internally that will help to build the person. So this is the basic kind of way of thinking. Is that clear? Like attracts like and opposites heal. What are we feeling and how can we find the opposite through substances? And for me, the really fun, geeky thing to do is to geek out on substances. Be like, oh, well, what is it? Are you smelling things, tasting things, touching things, getting your hands in things? To really actually take, this is cinnamon, right? And really think about it. Oh, what are all the actual flavors in cinnamon? It smells like cinnamon, but it smells a little bit pungent, it's a little bit sweet. So chefs love Ayurveda because it's very tangible like that. It's like, what are all the different qualities to any little substance and how can I fine tune this thing? And in Ayurveda, it's for medicine. How can I fine tune this thing for health? So Vata dosha, air and space. We all have some air and space. Pitta dosha. Pitta dosha is fire and water together. You can think of hot, molten lava like that. Like our blood, like the red blood cells, the body temperature, like someone who's very sharp and fast in their thinking. They have a fire about them, quick comprehension, Pitta dosha. Hydrochloric acid in the stomach, bile in the stomach, these kind of hot, sharp substances that we all have. Some people have more of them. Some people have excess and they experience acid indigestion or they experience fast digestion and they need to slow it down. So Pitta, the qualities of Pitta dosha. Ready? Pitta sasneha,
Pitta sasneha,
tikshnoshnam,
tikshnoshnam,
laghu visram,
laghu vishram,
saram dravam.
saram dharam.
Pitta sasneha, sasneha. Oily. You might hear, this is a female's name, you might hear the name Sneha sometimes, because Sneha means oily, but it also means love, because love is not dry, right? It's juicy. So they have the same word for love and oil. And it's a way that we love up our children and our elders. elders, our lovers. It's like we put oil, and we put oil on our bodies with self-massage and things like that. So sneha, oily. Tikshna, sharp. You can think of the sharpness of fire. Ushna. Hot. Laghu, again it's light, but in this case the light isn't like light body frame only, it's also bright like fire. So like you can recognize people who have a certain kind of fire, like a certain charisma, a spark in their eye, they glow, that kind of thing. There's a brightness, and there's also an upward moving quality to it. Tikshnoshnam laghu visram. This is a weird word. It means fleshy smelling, I think. Things that are hot often produce more of an odor, right? So you can say, wow, so there's a really strong odor here. Then you know that there's probably high Pitta. A lot of infections smell like have a scent. Saram is spreading. A lot of infections spread. Rashes, hot red rashes spread, right? Saram, dravam, liquid. So Pitta is oily, sharp, hot, light, fleshy, smelly, spready, liquid. You can think of hot molten lava. Do you know any people who are kind of like that? They're like very charismatic when they walk into the room. You know, they've worked the room before they even sat down. They're like great teachers. They are political leaders, you know, because there's a dynamism to Pitta dosha. It's like these people have a dynamic nature. Vata dosha, they walk into the room and they're like butterflies. Like all around, they kind of can sense, they're very subtle, they're very sensitive. They know, oh, something's wrong with that person today, you know. A Pitta person who, in personality, we're talking about now, like Pitta personality, a fiery, hot, sharp person might be very driven, like very ambitious in their life. Pitta people, it doesn't matter. We're all going to enter Vata stage of life at some point. But that experience is different. Someone who's been like very, very driven all their life who starts to lose their memory. Or somebody who's been like very, very ambitious or very, you know, successful, hot, sharp, you know, this kind of thing. Entering Vata stage of life, there's like other ways to look at it, other considerations. So we're just looking at it like what you are essentially and then what you become. And what you become has everything to do with how we're brought up, what diet we have, what lifestyle we have, what age we are, if we're out in the elements a lot, if we're inside in the dry air-conditioned air. I mean, the idea is that there's something that we are, and we are also all affected by the elements, and the elements affect us differently. And the last sort of the three humors is called Kapha dosha. These are the most substantial people. They're the people when you walk in the room, you're like, I want a hug from that person because they are like stable. They are earth and water together. You can think of the earth right after it rains. Very loving. Mother Earth, very supportive. In our bodies, Kapha dosha expresses as our bones, our muscles, our substance, our fat, mucosal linings, saliva, everything that's protective. It serves the function of protection in the body. Pitta serves the function of transformation, transforming food into the cell, into something, transforming information into understanding, transformation that happens in our digestive tract. And Vata serves the function of mobility, of things passing through our nerves, of understanding of our senses. So here we go, Kapha dosha, to learn the qualities of Kapha dosha. Guru Manda,
Guru Manda,
Hima Shnigda,
Hima Shnigda,
Slakshna Sandra,
Lakshana Sandra,
Mridu Stiraha.
Yadusya,
You're doing really, really well. Which is great. You know, it's like mostly people will talk to you in English if they can. But it's so nice to pick up words here and there, you know, even small customs. In India, you'll find like people touch the feet of their elders. They touch the feet of their teachers. It's like no one thinks twice about it. It's just like, this is my way of giving you like love and respect, like these kind of things. And maybe knowing a couple words, it's just nice. So Kapha dosha, these words, I don't know when you'll use them. Except that guru, you probably have heard before. Guru in other contexts means teacher or remover of darkness. But guru in this context means the adjective heavy. So many of the words have multiple meanings, which makes it a little challenging to learn the languages. We're talking right now Sanskrit words. Guru, heavy, because your teacher is heavy for you. You know, it's like, oh boy, cannot escape my teacher. Heavy. Manda is slow, dull. Think about clay, you know? It's not as movable. Guru Manda. Hima is cool, like the cool earth. Shnigda is another word for oily. It's like Shnigda. Guru Manda Hima Shnigda. Slakshna is smooth. Sandra, dense. Mridu, soft. Stiraha, stable. Can you see how that sounds like the earth? You know, like earth and water together. Stable. So some of us are just more Kapha. We are more like, we're those people in the family that like hold down the fort. We're those people who everyone can depend upon. We're like, no, that's not my, I say we. But there are these people who are like the caretakers, the mother natures, the more substantial. And when earth and water goes high in the body, you get things like obesity. You just get more substance. You get more mucus. You get more of the stuff that's kind of clay-like. You know, you can have extra muscles. You can have extra, you can have growths on the bones. Things that are kind of like tumor-type, benign tumors, like fatty lumps and growths. When fire and water gets high, you might have burning sensations somewhere in the body. You might have burning digestion. You might have diarrhea. You might have an ulcer, a sharpness. There's so many things written about. More than 5,000 years ago, they were written about. Diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes is broken down into 20 different types. 20 different types in Ayurveda. Like, they understood in a qualitative way what was happening, and then was able to treat qualitatively through herbs, qualitatively through diet, qualitatively through lifestyle. So my teacher, Dr. Lad, really believes in integrative medicine and really believes in, in both and in that conversation. But there's also just so much to learn from cultures that are older who've been dealing with problems much longer, and I guess that's what you all are going to get to go do. So I'm really jealous. I'm really happy for you. It's very cool. And if you're around elders, you're going to receive a lot of love, like in India. So I'm wondering if I can have like 3 volunteers. Okay, 2, 3, perfect. Come. So come and stand up here. Beautiful. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Alicia and Sarah. They are volunteering for us, so we can just, with your eyes, with your senses, and when you've all been together much longer, you'll have a deeper sense of people and their personalities. But for now, just like looking at Sarah. Look, she is. She's tall. And her bones are not skinny mini. Like, look, my bones are like, I have to be aware of osteoporosis when I'm older. I have to be aware with how much I move with getting arthritis. More likely to have wear and tear and damage. But look, she's not big bone. She's just kind of like medium, right? And her face gets rosy, right? Her face gets a little bit rosy. Her body frame is medium. We're looking at the things that don't change. We're looking at substantially, like, what are the things that don't change? Like your eyes kind of don't change shape. The frame of your bones don't really change. You know, when I look at Sarah, what I see is someone who's more like medium, more like Pitta dosha. You know, she has a rosiness to her skin, you know, so she's not dealing with like anemia likely, you know, which is more of like a Vata dosha type of ailment. Alicia, you want a hug? You want a hug, Alicia? Because Alicia has like, she has earth and water, right? She's like earth and water mama, and so is Lucy, really. Like, they're like earth and water mamas, you know? Like, look at the size of your bones. The idea of health in Ayurveda is not to make someone like someone else. It's like make someone how they're supposed to be. So someone who has substantial bones, has substantial flesh, but you're not trying to turn them into a little reed. It's not like diet and lifestyle that is the next phase of, you know, the paleo, the this, the that, where you're all supposed to fit into the same. It's like, if you're an oak tree, you become the most stable oak tree you can be, you know? If you're a reed, you become the most beautiful, healthy reed you can be, like that, you know? And both these women have more substance, you know? They have more, your skin stay kind of oily most of the time, like they're not drying out that easily, you know? I don't see any real, I guess we can use me. I am kind of dual, Vata, Pitta dual, but you can use me for comparison as more of like Vata. You know, I move a lot, my body's very flexible, I dry out really easily, kind of thing. But you can see these things that don't change. So even when all of us are older, certain things are not going to change. Our basic body frame. She has beautiful eyes. Beautiful, beautiful eyes. Like very almond, very large, you know, very, very loving. I mean, you can really count on a Kapha person to just like have that loving look. Thank you so much. It can sound at first very simple, and at first it is a little bit simplified like that, because really we are all three. But if you were in India and you were seeing an Ayurvedic doctor, they would keep this in mind. They'd be like, wow, so it's a Kapha person with a Vata trait or symptom going on right now. So how long can I give this person herbs? Like if I'm giving herbs that are building, I want to keep in mind that this person is already substantial. Or if a Vata person, you know, who's already kind of dry, but is experiencing something where, you know, they need to dry out. Like maybe they're experiencing oily acne on their skin. How long am I going to give them that herb? How long am I going to give them that treatment? It would be different than someone whose baseline is different. We're always basically just trying to come back to our baseline in Ayurveda, and that is what is called prakriti.